All right, let's dive right into this. Welcome to this explainer where we're going to peel back the modern, purely material facade of humanity to reveal the timeless esoteric wisdom encoded within our very being. Today, we're exploring a perspective that entirely shifts how we view the foundation of human life, moving away from cold chemistry and stepping into sacred geometry.
For decades now, we've been taught that human life is essentially nothing more than a random sequence of chemicals, just a biological accident, right? But ancient esoteric traditions suggest something completely different. They propose that our core structure is profoundly spiritual. So, the ultimate question we're asking today is this: are we merely chemical codes, or are we actually divine architecture?
Section 1, the Code of Material Life and the Modern Illusion. Let's start by examining what modern science views as our fundamental building blocks and see how this purely material perspective might actually be blinding us to a much deeper reality. To really understand the modern viewpoint, we have to talk about atomism. Basically, this is the doctrine that explains everything complex just by looking at fixed, dead material particles. It completely strips away the spiritual ether and the divine spark that ancient traditions tell us actually animates us. It's a very mechanical way of looking at life.
And what's really fascinating is how these timeless traditions break down this illusion of materiality. By focusing solely on the physical, we completely lose sight of the foundational Hermetic principle that the universe is mental. Instead of seeing the spiritual forces of earth, air, water, and fire interacting within us, this modern illusion just reduces humanity to mere chemical reactions. It essentially replaces beautiful sacred geometry with cold biology.
Moving into Section 2, the four sacred elements, our celestial blueprints. Let's take a closer look at the four letters of the modern biological code, A, T, C, and G, and see how they might actually mirror ancient celestial blueprints.
Okay, this is where it gets really wild. If you align the four bases of our biological code with timeless astrological wisdom, a stunning correspondence emerges. Adenine, or A, sparks with Aries and the element of fire. Thymine, T, grounds us in Taurus and Earth. Guanine, G, dances with Gemini and air. And cytosine, C, flows with Cancer and water. Think about that. The foundational letters of our physical makeup perfectly mirror the first four signs of the zodiac and the four classical elements. This incredible alignment brings to life that famous ancient maxim, as above, so below. It illustrates a core esoteric teaching that the macrocosm of the stars and the universe is perfectly, mathematically mirrored right here in the microcosm of our earthly bodies. The vast wilderness of the stars isn't just out there, it's literally woven directly into us. Which brings us to Section 3, the ascent of the serpent, represented by the double helix. Let's explore how this famous shape is actually a timeless symbol of spiritual awakening, hidden right in plain sight. The absolutely crucial point here is that millennia before the double helix was ever mapped in a laboratory, ancient yogic and spiritual traditions described the Kundalini. This is a profound, dormant cosmic energy residing at the very base of the human spine. And how is it universally represented? As dual, opposing energies, serpents, spiraling up a central structural shaft. And this spiraling ascent isn't just an Eastern concept either. It's echoed deeply in biblical tradition as well. Take John 3:14, for example, which speaks of Moses lifting up the serpent in the wilderness. In the esoteric tradition, this represents the raising of the spiritual light, ascending the ladder of our physical spinal column to reach cosmic enlightenment. That wilderness they're talking about, it's the vast universe contained within you. When you put these concepts side by side, the visual parallel is just undeniable. On one side, we have the modern biological double helix, presented to us as a purely chemical ladder. But on the other side, we have the ancient caduceus, the staff of Hermes, representing the spiritual spine. We are looking at the exact same architecture here, guys. Opposing forces, twisting, and marrying as they climb the center pillar of our being. This spiraling structure is the very essence of what ancient alchemists called the rebus. The rebus represents the ultimate product of the great work, the sacred alchemical wedding of opposites. It's the harmonious uniting of spirit and matter, light and dark, masculine and feminine, all woven together seamlessly within our physical frame. That takes us to our final section, the alchemy of the soul and sacred geometry.
Esoteric teachings tell us that we aren't just some random collection of bodily acids. We are living alchemy, geometrically and mathematically perfect by design. So, in ancient alchemy, there are three prime elements: sulfur, mercury, and salt. Salt represents the physical human form right here on Earth. And geometrically, this salt is symbolized by the esoteric cube. It's a sacred structure designed specifically to anchor the divine spirit within the material plane. It's basically the earthly foundation for our cosmic self. But here's the thing. This divine architecture isn't just geometric. It's profoundly mathematical. And this perfectly illustrates the numerology hidden, even in the modern language we use to describe our physical blueprint. According to esoteric tradition, this numerology points directly to the mathematical constant of creation itself. Check this out. Let's look at the actual phrase: deoxyribose nucleic acid. In esoteric numerology, that exact phrase contains exactly 22 letters. When you take the numerical value of these words and perform a full Kabbalistic mathematical reduction, an incredible pattern emerges. The entire phrase reduces down to the number 7. So what you're left with is 22 over 7. And as any math buff knows, 22 divided by 7 gives us the exact fraction that constructs pi, 3.14. Pi represents the perfect circle, the eternal, the mathematical word of creation. The esoteric tradition uses this to show that our physical makeup is intrinsically and mathematically linked to the infinite. There's literally no way that's just a coincidence. All of this timeless wisdom, from astrology to alchemy, from the kundalini to the mathematics of pi, it all points to one profound realization. We really have to look beyond the purely physical, atomistic illusions of ourselves. When we finally strip away that cold biological narrative, we recognize the sacred, purposeful geometry within. You are not a chemical accident. You are divine cosmic alchemy. Which leaves us with a final, powerful question to consider today. Will you remain tethered to the modern belief that you are merely a random aggregate of biology? Or will you awaken the inner serpent, unite the opposing forces within you, and claim the divine, timeless architecture woven into your very soul? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, keep seeking and keep learning.